Jinggoy Estrada is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized, Mr.
A
President.
distinguished colleague from the city of San Juan, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, it has come to my attention and the attention of our colleagues here in this August chamber that a certain head of an agency of the Department of Tourism has incessantly texted several of our colleagues, including the Senate President, including the Deputy Minority Leader, and I guess it's Senator Pia Cayetano, telling us or lecturing us to stop asking questions because according to those to that department head, she has been here waiting. She has been here since 1 o'clock, waiting for their agency to be waiting for the budget of their agency to be deliberated upon. And may I call the attention of Miss Cynthia Corion that we've been here working at 9 o'clock in the morning, waiting for all departments' budget, the budget of departments to be deliberated upon. We are doing our job, and no one has the right to tell us to stop talking here. It is our duty and our job to perform our work here in the Senate. And you do not have the right to tell us what to do here. Imagine telling the Senate President, we've been here at 1 o'clock waiting for DOTC's budget to be heard. We've been working since last week, deliberating on all the budgets of the departments here. And telling the Deputy Minority Leader to stop asking questions. Kami nga, kahit matagal magtanong si Senator Risa, we never dared to ask her to stop asking questions. Who are you? Who are you to tell us to stop asking questions? Remember, if one of us tells the sponsor to defer the budget of DOT, what will happen to you? You cannot do anything. You cannot do anything here. If I move to defer your budget or to slash the budget of DOT because of your actuations and because of your actions towards my colleagues here, what will happen to the budget of DOT? Imagine, even Senator Pia Cayetano, you've been texting her even before. That's what I heard from her regarding EJ Obiena's performance. She's a senator, she's a lawyer, she knows what to do. She's a senior member here in this August chamber. You've been a member of PSC, am I right? So you know how the budget runs here in the Senate or even in Congress. You know we spend wee hours of the morning here. Am I correct? And why are you complaining? The secretary is not complaining. She's a neophyte secretary. She never complained. Who are you to complain? The secretary is a good friend of all senators here. She never complained. Kahit siguro alas 3 na ma-hear yung budget ng DOT, hindi magre-reklamo yan. Because she knows what's happening here in Congress or in the Senate in particular. I think our colleagues, they deserve an apology from you. If the majority leader and Senate President will allow us to suspend the rules and
Yes, actually, just to put it in proper perspective, my dear colleagues, for the information of the departments, we're just doing our constitutional mandate of hearing all the budgets and asking diligently where the funds are being utilized. We have no right to stop any member of the Senate to ask questions, propose amendments, and as Senate President, I will never do that to any of you. So it was very surprising that this person, Ma'am Cynthia, who's a friend of mine, we're family friends. And if it was just me, I would just let go of it. But when I heard that you were texting other members of the Senate, particularly more insulting messages to Senator Risa Ontiveros to stop asking the budget already of the DNR because, you know, you want to take over, you want the DOT to be next in line. That is not proper. That is inappropriate. And I think the sad part about it is she does not know you from Adam. So it is like a text it's like a angry text message from an anonymous person, which is, again, as I mentioned, inappropriate. And so I would like to ask the majority floor leader and the body to allow, please, before I do the motion, to allow to suspend the rules so that she may address us if she wants to apologize or not, because it is quite insulting to the members of the Senate. And we're not doing this to trample on anyone's rights. It's just that we are all working very hard. And the good gentleman from San Juan is absolutely correct. We've been here in the morning and we've been doing this for the last week. It's our 8th day. Our 6th day of doing this at going home at 2 in the morning. 8th day? It's our 8th day. My apologies. And we've done almost all departments. So my colleagues don't deserve that. My colleagues, never mind me. You can insult me, you can get mad at me. But my colleagues do not deserve that treatment from members of the government who are actually trying to sponsor their budgets. And so before I make a motion,
Before I recognize our Deputy Minority Leader, I did not get any text from this certain head of the agency of PRA, Mr. President. But I just wanted to put on record my utmost disgust, dismay, and disappointment, especially coming from a fellow government official. Mr. President, I take offense. Even though I did not get the text, I take offense being a member of this institution. And I joined the gentleman from San Juan and our Senate President and remind our colleagues, not only in this August chamber, but also every single government official. Mr. President, I haven't seen my kids and my wife for so many days, for more than a week now. Senator Jinggoy's wife is celebrating her birthday today. He couldn't even go home. And then someone from a public official would dare to question our duties and responsibilities, our work here in the Senate. It's unacceptable, Mr. President. So even if the distinguished head of PRA is not willing to answer or apologize, I think we should hear from her, Mr. President, what she wants, what she wanted to happen, how she think this Senate as an institution would be better if we will succumb to whatever she wants, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, with that, I will support any motion to suspend the rules, if there be. But for the meantime, we will yield the floor to our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Ontiveros.
our Deputy Minority Floor Leader is recognized.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President. Ug daghang salamat, Mr. President. Maraming salamat kina Senator Jinggoy, Senator Nancy, who took immediate action on this when I brought it to her attention, to Senator Pia, the Majority Leader, all colleagues who came together this midnight to make things right. Sa huli kasi, higit sa lahat tungkol ito sa respeto. Kasi hindi po tayo gumagamit ng sense of entitlement. Ginagawa lang natin at ginagawa namin dito sa Senado ang aming tungkulin, ang aming mandato. I am a member of the minority, a proud member of the minority, and I take offense if our modest Senate President will not, at the Senate President of our institution being texted such messages. Salamat kaayo to Sec Frasco for her apology and the apology as well of another official of the DOT who met us in front near the lounge. I heard the apology of the person concerned, but I think moving forward, words must be followed by action. Pagwasto sa ginawa niya, hindi lang sa ilang individual natin pero sa buong institusyon natin. So I hope things can be set right in the next days. At hindi lamang sa Senado, pati sa publiko na sumusubaybay sa trabaho namin over the past 2 weeks. They at least, I think, appreciate the seriousness with which we do our work. Ano man ang oras, gaano man kami, kapagod o hindi pagod. Dahil sa huli, higit sa lahat, tungkol sa respeto at ang respetong binibigay ng mga senador sa aming trabaho. Salamat kaayo, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minority Floor Leader Risa Ontiveros. Of Isabela and Davao and our idol Raffy, Senator Raffy Tulfo is recognized.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, kagabi po, ako po ay pumunta sa isang lamay ng isang binata sa Nabotas na bago siya binawian ng buhay, punong-puno po siya ng pangarap para sa kanyang sarili at sa kanyang pamilya. Ito po ay si Gerard Jemboy Baltasar na pinatay ng mga Navotas PNP dahil sa mistaken identity. Ayan po siya. Kung mananapatin niyo po, I would like to share a short video of my conversation with the mother of Jinggoy. Meron po tayong video.
Na pumunta rin po doon na meron pong mga SWAT na pumunta rin po doon na nakatutok po doon sa bangka. Ang inaano ko baka SWAT po yung nakapatay sa anak ko kasi sa ulo po yung tama niya.
Mahinang audio.
Dapat po yung nangyari, mga alauna po. Posible po hindi nila nakilala yung anak ko. Sana po tinanong nila kung ano yung pangalan ng anak ko. Sir, isasali ko na rin po yung, di ba po patay na yung anak ko, nakalagay po siya sa styrofoam. Nandun po yung mga polis, meron po lalaki bumaba, hinila pa po yung anak ko sa may burak. Tapos po, ang ginawa niya, pinag-isipan niya po pa po yung anak ko. Meron po talaga nakakita na patay na yung anak ko, pinag-isipan niya po, tapos may balak siyang parang babaunan niya pa ng droga yung anak ko. Meron po
Nakakadurog po ng puso at nakakagalit ang sinapit niya sa kamay ng ating mga kapulisan. Mistaken identity. Kumbaga, sa mga pulis, pasensya na. Kala namin ibang tao ka. Hindi po ba dapat lahat tayo tumatayo ngayon para kay Jinggoy na nilapastangan ng ating criminal and justice system? Lumapit po sa aking programa ang lola ni Jinggoy nung nakarang linggo at pinatutukan ko ang kaso niya. Napag-alaman po namin na napakaraming kalokohan at kawalang-hiyaan nangyari dito sa kaso ni Jinggoy. Sa dami ng panukalang batas na pinapasa natin dito, parang pagdating sa field at sa mga operations ng pulis, ito ay binabaliwala. Binibigyan natin sila ng budget na pambili ng mga armas para maprotektahan ang ating mga kababayan. Pero anong nangyari? Ang mga armas na binili ng ating buwis ang mismong kikitil ng buhay natin. Bibigyan natin sila ng otoridad upang panatilihin ang seguridad at kapayapaan. Pero sila mismo ang sanhi ng takot at gulo at paghasik ng lagim. Mr. President, itong nakarang Lunes sa pamumuno ng Chairman ng Committee on Public Order na si Senator Bato de la Rosa ay inimbestigahan ang pagpaslang kay Apari Vice Mayor Romel Alameda at iba pa niyang kasamahan. Marami po tayong natutunan sa hearing na yun at kung anong mga batas ang dapat ipasa. Sa katunayan, umuusad na po ang ating bill na body-worn camera, CCTV sa mga jails at prisons at ang Checkpoint Regulation Act. Pero, nais ko po ulit kumatok sa pinto at sa puso ninyo, lalo na sa Committee on Public Order at kay Senator Bato. Sana po ay maimbestigahan din po natin ang nangyari kay Jinggoy. Ang kaso niya at ang nangyayari sa kanyang pamilya ay siyang nangyayari sa mas nakararami nating mga kababayan. Mr. President and my dear colleagues, our criminal justice system is not the same for the rich, powerful, and influential as to what is being applied to our ordinary citizens, most especially the poor and the powerless. Let me lay down a few of the issues that I hope will be addressed. First, the operations procedure. There is a selective application of the PNP operational procedures. I commend the PNP for having a very extensive and well-written manual, as you can see in the presentation. Napakaganda po ng mga nakalagay. Napakaganda kung ito ay nasusunod at pinatutupad sa lahat ng sitwasyon at kahit sino pa ang kaharap nila. In the 2021 revised PNP Operational Procedures Manual, they introduced the use of force continuum policy. Here we see the three approaches for the use of force continuum, starting with non-lethal approach, moving to less lethal approach, then going to lethal approach. Makikita po dito na ang kada sitwasyon na kinakaharap ng ating mga kapulisan ay may akmang aksyon na dapat gamitin. Sa kaso po ni Jinggoy, isang 17-year-old na nasa bangka at balak na mangisda, sa kataasan ng araw, walang armas at hindi naman ng laban. Dumiretso agad sa lethal approach ang ating mga pulis. Ang lethal approach po ay ginagamit kong armed at dangerous po ang suspect at kung may unlawful aggression or intention to cause severe injury, serious bodily harm or death to police officers and other people. Kahit balibalik na rin po natin ang kwento ni Jinggoy, paano magiging threat itong bata na ito sa isang grupo ng kapulisan na armado ng mga M16 at 9mm. According to the PNP manual, the use of handguns and rifles are authorized only to prevent or repel the unlawful aggression. We also need to equip them with weapons so they could implement the less lethal approach when needed. These impact weapons include batons, truncheons, tasers, or pepper spray, or even arnis. And of course, proper training so that these equipments could be used in a calibrated way and not to cause serious injury or death. Another flaw in the operations conducted by the PNP is the fact that the body-worn camera of the PNP was unfortunately turned off or intentionally turned off. As mentioned earlier, the body-worn camera bill is already moving. The police officer in charge of the equipment must ensure that it is functioning or an alternative recording device is used at all times, or else he will be held liable criminally. Such acts should be considered as tampering of evidence. Kung nakabukas lang po sana ang kamera ng pulis, edi sana mas madaling naisampa ang tamang kaso laban sa mga pumatay kay Jinggoy. At isa pang sabwata na nadiskubi po ay ang pagtanggi ng investigador na iparapintes ang 6 na pulis na involved sa operasyon. Bakit pag ordinaryong tao ang akusado, hayok na hayok sila sa pagdiin ng mga krimen? Minsan, nagpaplanta pa ng ebidensya. Pero dito, ginagawang lahat upang sanggain ang investigasyon dahil kabaro nila ang sangkot. And as if the death of Jinggoy is not enough, the road to justice proves to be difficult yet again for Jinggoy's family. As with most cases, where the victims are poor and powerless. Sa unang pag-imbestiga, ang 6 na pulis na sangkot sa pagkamatay ni Jinggoy ay sasampahan lang ng complaint for reckless imprudence resulting in homicide. Sampal sa pamilya ni Jinggoy ito. Aksidente lang pagkamatay niya? Parang nasagasaan lang sa kalye? Sinong niloloko nyo? Mga lespo. If we permit this kind of reasoning in Jinggoy's case, it will be like a free pass for all abusive police officers to shoot whomever they want and claim mistaken identity. My office is preparing a bill that would ensure strict compliance with the PNP Operations Manual, particularly for law enforcement operations, including the use of force continuum. This bill will hold law enforcers liable for deaths and injuries during law enforcement operations in violation of the PNP procedures. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, we have punished the crime for plunder. Ang plunder po ay pagnanakaw lang talaga, pero binigyan natin ito ng matinding kaparusahan dahil ang nagnakaw ay public official at pera ng bayan ang ninakaw. Sa panukalang batas na ipapasa ko, hindi simpleng reckless imprudence resulting in homicide ang kaparusahan sa mga pulis na pumapatay habang nilalabag ang operations procedure nila. Dapat po sila ay may mas mabigat na kaparusahan. They are paid to protect, yet they are the ones threatening the lives of our citizens. We arm them using tax money, and yet they use it against the people they are sworn to protect. This deserves a grave penalty. We have to enforce our laws on our law enforcers. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, my heart goes to the family of Jinggoy. But you know, it also pains me to castigate our police officers all the time. Kasi po, karamihan naman sa kanila ay nasa ayos ang pagsiserbisyo. Nadudungisan lang ng ilan o kulang lang ng suporta mula sa itaas. Let us work together to elevate our law enforcers. They should be respected and not feared. With the help of Senator Bato de la Rosa and everyone here in the Senate, I know maayos din po natin ito. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Maraming salamat, Senator Raffy Tulfo.
Mr. President, if I may, I know that we are pressed for time, and I just have one question. If my distinguished colleague, Senator Tulfo, would yield to just one question, Mr. President. First of all, Mr. President, let me take this opportunity to extend my sincerest condolences to the family left behind by Jinggoy Baltazar. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. Secondly, Mr. President, I joined the gentleman from Isabela and Davao in strongly condemning the brutal killing of Jinggoy Salazar, a 17-year-old who dreams of becoming a seaman someday, Mr. President. Just have one question, if my distinguished colleague would yield. Just one question with regard to the seemingly, Mr. President, paulit-ulit na nakakasama ng loob, nakakasalukasok ng mga pangyayari na nagagawa. I'm sure hindi ito sinasadya, pero nagagawa, nakukumit pa rin ng kapulisan. If the gentleman would know if in the past 5 years perhaps, police violence na nag-lead sa kamatayan, mistaken identity, may numero ho ba tayo nito para sabihin ito ay talagang parang wala hong nangyayari? Kasi kahit sabihin po na babaguhin na naman natin yung manual, etc. Mr. President, I just would like to put on record, and you, Mr. President, and I are authors of resolution investigating the killing, Mr. President, if you would recall, the 17-year-old Kian Lloyd de los Santos. Mr. President, he was killed in the same day, today, August 16, 2017. Same day, 6 years ago, Mr. President. He was shot 3 times in the head despite begging for his life. Yung 19-year-old po, si Carlo Angelo Arnaiz, who was handcuffed, beaten up before being killed. And Carl's friend and witness to the murder, yung 14-year-old, si Reynaldo de Guzman, whose body was found floating in a creek with 31 stab wounds. All these killings, Mr. President, were committed by the Caloocan City Police. So, Ginoong Pangulo, may distinguished colleague, may data na po ba tayo kaya? Kung ilang beses na po itong nangyayari, baka kung i-impose natin ng death penalty, ito yung unahin natin.
Maraming salamat, Your Honor, Mr. President, for that question. As far as data is concerned, no, we don't have that. And certainly, the policemen or the PNP would not ever give us those numbers. On the other hand, let me tell you, Mr. President, Your Honor, the reason bakit hindi ito mapahinto, paulit-ulit na lang, you said, and I agree with you totally, through the years, it happens again and again and again. And the thing here that I saw, the main problem is doon po sa recruitment. Kasi it starts with the recruitment process. Dapat nasasara talaga yung mga hindi karapat-dapat mag-training at yung mga pulis na dapat hindi na maisalang at maging patrolman pa or starts from the bottom, maging kabo. Why? Because marami dito, marami sa mga kapulisan natin ang may topak. Sorry for the word. May sira sa ulo. Pero nakakalusot dahil malakas nirekomendahan ng mga Poncio Pilato. So, nakakalusot sila na dapat doon pa lamang sa screening process, nasara na sila. Meron nga tayong tinatawag na neuropsychiatric exam, pero ito nga po, Mr. President, I remember many years ago, yung isa pong colonel sa Kamkrame, siya po yung nagkakandak ng neuropsychiatric exam sa mga gustong mag-training sa pagka-PNP. Siya mismo ay saksakan ng abusado at inireklamo po sa aking programa. Kung yung mismo nagsasagawa ng neuropsychiatric exam para sa mga gustong mag-training sa pagka-pulis, ang mismo may topak sa ulo, then nakikita niyo na po yung maging problema. At ito pa pong masakit, nung panahon po ni PRD, ni President Rodrigo Duterte, dinoble ang sweldo ng mga pulis natin. So, inakala po natin lahat kapag nadoble na ang kanilang sweldo, gaganda na ang kanilang serbisyo, pero lalong lumala Saan po yung problema rito? Again, hindi po nasara yung pagpasok ng mga pulis na kung saan-saan lamang nanggaling at pagdating sa training, sila ay tinulak lamang na maging pulis ng kanilang mga padrino at hanggang sa makapasok sila maging PNP. So it is time na dapat yung mga pulis natin is quality, not quantity. So again, Mr. President, akin pong tututukan ito
Thank you.
to make sure ito mga ginagawang pang-abuso nating kapulisan, masisilip ko at maparusahan ang dapat maparusahan.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I certainly agree with the observations made by our distinguished colleague, yung sa
Oh,
recruitment.
Mr. President. Okay. May binigay isang staff ko, 6,000 police killings in general
Wow.
between 2016 to 2021. Pero this is in general.
6,000.
Hindi dito kasama yung killings dahil sa mistaken identity, killings dahil sa pang-abuso, killings dahil sa salvage. So ito ay general lamang. So yung tinatanong niyo po ata is yung
Yes.
specific to police brutality. Ito po, general to.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as I was saying, Mr. President, I agree with you that we should scrutinize yung mga papasok and at the same time, yung mga nakapasok na, dapat na-check din. Kasi sabi nga nila, power corrupts and it corrupts absolutely. When you have that power, at the same time, Mr. President, kung papahawakin natin sila ng baril, hindi ho dapat napapasakamay ng may topak ang baril na binili mismo. Binanggit nyo ho kanina, yun ang napakasakit. Imagine, taxpayer po yung nagbayad nitong mga armas na ito na kumitil sa buhay ng mga kabataan natin na walang kamalay-malay. I am not making a sweeping judgment